So Brian, for those reasons, you're fired.
Brian, good evening to you.
Good evening, Carl. How are you?
And I'll tell you what, and we've said this, and I've said that to everyone who watched The Apprentice, is totally inaccurate. You're not a coaster, because we know you had your business plan and you've been working hard. And, you know, it's firstly commiserations.
Thanks very much, Carl. I appreciate it.
And you worked really well. As I say, if people just didn't watch The Apprentice and watch the other associated programmes, like the programme afterwards, You're Fired, you got all green cards. In other words, people saying you should have been hired.
Yeah.
As well as that, behind the scenes, getting on in business is a bit like getting on in real life to a certain extent. A lot of business is done without talking business. In other words, getting on with people. And you got on with every single person in the house, didn't you?
Absolutely, every single person in the house, you know, and it wasn't part of playing a game. It was that I said from the start, you know, I'll be completely honest with people. If there's something that I think I have a problem with, I'll just tell them, and I wanted them to afford me the same respect at least, so that I didn't want to be going in doing an interview about them and saying something when I was actually doing something else. So, you know, they trusted me. I had done quite well in the interview process to go in there. So, you know, when I would come up with a comment, even like last night at the 11th hour when I said, look, we can't go with this idea, that would have been a disaster to scrap the idea, but they trusted me that I was right and they went with it. So, you know, it's all about building up trust with people, and that's what I tried to do. And it was hugely emotional from the roller coaster of it, a huge disappointment of not being able to get what I was doing across the table to Bill and not understanding his point of view in it. And the second part, you know, being picked back up by the other candidates who knew how frustrated I was, that I knew my time was coming to an end, and no matter how good they thought I was and I thought I was, Bill wasn't having any of it. So they knew that I knew it was coming for a while, and you know, they could see how much it was hurting me.
Yeah, because you saved your team last night from not keeping to the brief, because you did notice that in the brief it said, you know, new and innovative couldn't be an existing thing like a race night or something like that had been done before, and you spotted that and rung straight away. So I mean, I think that in itself was a key move, and that would justify being left in the process.
Absolutely. And at that stage, if you want to think tactics, I mean, wouldn't it have been better for me to say, all right, we'll go on with it? One of them is after coming up with the idea and they fail, and then because of that they go into the boardroom and get fired. But that was, you know, there's a way of playing it where you can try not to get fired, or there's by trying to win every single task, and that's what I wanted to try and do. You know, I had known from when I was PM in week 5 that after that show that I realised I don't think I can win this. I knew that he was after reading their business plans, obviously, and you know, things that I had done up to week 5 had not been shown, and he had not said well done, whereas he was saying well done to other people. So I knew if I get into that final 3, I'm brown bread, so I needed to make sure to win every task that I could and get as far as possible and prove him wrong. And you know, I broke the sales record, I did the e-mobile task, I took a huge risk and everything like that, but still nothing. So, you know, I knew on this task, I could feel it coming.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, you've some tan.
Oh my God. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is nothing on me, I tell you.
Yeah, you had some time, but look, I have a challenge for you now, Brian. I didn't tell you about this, right? I'm going to take a line, a very short line with a couple of words in it. It's a quote, and you have to tell me what candidate who's still in the process am I talking about.
Okay.
Are you ready? I'm going to organise an event. I heard you laughing, Brian. I heard you laughing.
That wasn't Noel Rowland, was it?
No. Anyway, moving on swiftly, right? He's from my home county as well, so he's going to be on here someday. So look, it's enough of that, Brian.
Yeah. No, I love Noel. Go on.
Come here. You obviously you did enjoy the process, and you were hoping to get far and even win. But it is beneficial to you and your business career, isn't it? The whole Apprentice thing.
It is. I mean, you have to look at it. The first plan, you should not be on there unless you want to win the show. I was completely in there to win it. The business idea that I had and the business that I have, increased sales, to get that to the level that I wanted to be, I needed Bill's investment in it. I needed his facilities and his contact number. All I wanted was his face beside my website, his recommendation and his contact list, and I'd work it from there. And his money, obviously, his investment. Yeah, well, don't forget about that one part.
Have you any money there?
First and foremost. By the way, can you sign a cheque? But yeah, that's what I went in there for. But if if you don't win, then you need to be able to at least make as good a portrayal of yourself as possible, because there's other business people that are going to be watching it. And you know, whether I went down the route of looking for employment again or looking for investment, that I needed to make sure I showed them, look, I can get my head down and I can do the work. And that's what I tried to do and I set out to do from the very start. So, you know, I just tried my hardest in every task. And you know, if you're coming up against it with Bill and you realise you're not possibly going to win, there's only so long you're going to last.
Yeah, I had a look at your website today, increasesales.ie, and it's all on there. What's the future for you? Are you going to fully concentrate on that or do something else at the same time, or what are you going to do exactly, Brian?
No, we have a good set of customers there with increasesales.ie, and I'm sort of handing that over to good, capable hands. There's a few people in discussion with that are going to be able to sort of bring increased sales forward. But, you know, it's not going to be where I need to bring myself. So, briankirwain.biz is my new website, and I will be, you know, doing some seminars, but also I'm re-entering the job market. I'm hoping to get a job with a large company that's proactive in sales and marketing, the likes of Google, Facebook, Guinness, Cadbury's. Again, I'm aiming very high. But, you know, that's what I always do.
Yeah, well, look, the Apprentice is the biggest show on the land. For that reason, you're right. And I reckon if people who watch the programme, even watch the You're Hired bit last night as well, or You're Fired, sorry, they would, you know, if they're looking on, say, I'm going to give that man a job. He's certainly worth the dosh, do you know?
Yeah, exactly. And they can find me at briankirwain.biz. And, you know, as well, I mean, being on the show, you have to realise if you're going to be doing well and getting forward in it. I mean, there's 750,000 people watching it every week. And you're getting that sort of exposure, you know, 8 weeks of exposure like that for the price of 2 suits and a pair of shoes. I mean, it's fantastic. But, you know, and people are paying thousands for that. So I'm blessed with the opportunity. I don't want to focus too much on the negatives. I am disappointed that I didn't go further, but you know, I couldn't have asked for much more in terms of my portrayal of you know, how I left and the respect I got for people. And I just want to take a second to thank ye and thank everybody that has supported us. You've been great support the whole way through. My family and friends have been amazing on it. I'd also like to thank Oliver Dempsey of tradesmen.ie and Tracy Flynn of onandgone.ie and Leash Chamber, who all played a huge role in helping me to get onto the Apprentice down through the last few years. And just to say, you know, from here on in, I know I had a lot of support, and you know, I have a new 3-year plan to make sure that I do as well for myself as possible. And you know, let's see if I can prove Bill wrong. But just thanks for the support, and this isn't a start; it's just a springboard for me.
Yeah, no, it's as they say, it's without winning the process, it's a savage CV to have now, because the big name companies, that's the level you'd want to be hitting, because you know, biggest show in the land and all that type of thing. So I'll tell you what, can we? I know you've exited the process now, Brian, but can we invite you back on Drivetime for the rest of the series?
Yeah, absolutely can. I'd be delighted to do it.
Yeah, so what we will do is we'll get you on to review the task on Tuesday before we get on the fire candidate, and to give us your views on it, and who do you think is going to go on next, or who go next, or who go out, that type of thing. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. And also, just to remind people as well, I have a seminar on this Thursday in the Portlaoise Enterprise Centre. It's how to smash your sales records. Tickets are €80. It's a 3-hour session in the evening, and people go away with a 10-step plan on how they can implement exactly the type of things that I've done on the likes of the Caramello task. And that's how they'll see exactly what it is I do, and they can see for themselves what they think of my work.
Very small task for you to do now before I let you go, Brian. You heard me rambling on there before I got you on air about me pretending I was Bill, right? I don't try and take off his accent because I'm no good at that, but I do have all his lines, right? So you've got to finish off like this, right? I'm going to pretend.
You're not going to call me a coaster, are you?
Absolutely not.
Because I don't know if you heard, but even when you played it back, I groaned in the background and said, "Oh, I can't take it." But go on.
No, not a coaster. We're not talking any events, right? I'm going to pretend I'm Bill Cullen, so I'm coming into the boardroom and I'm just going to say, good afternoon, candidates. All you have to say is good afternoon, Bill, and then we'll chat to you next week, Brian. Are you ready?
Yeah.
There's a lot of tension in the room. Just sense that, right? Good afternoon, candidates.
Good afternoon, Bill.